Right, let's go to something else. More of a, I guess, in a way, upbeat topic. Well, not so much, but still. Coming from an Erko from Norway, circumcised when he was 9 years old. Can I get my foreskin back? Cemal Knudsen Util was 9 years old when his parents made the choice for him that he wishes to have been allowed to make himself. They chose to cut off his foreskin. I could have had complications. I could have died. It was not my choice, and it is completely wrong. Cemal Knudsen Util still remembers the day he was circumcised. He was 9 years old, it was summer vacation, and it was hot outside. He and his bigger brother were in the garden of the childhood home in Turkey when they realized that the father had entered into an agreement with a man called the Abdal, or the gypsy man, or the drummer. That was a man who played drums for weddings and who had the extra job of circumcising boys of the village, according to Cemal. I was afraid, and within me I prayed to Allah that it won't happen today. Me and my brother started running and tried to hide, but then my father came and said we had to come. During the circumcision, Jamal's hands and feet were held firm. The cutter lubricated something on the foreskin, stroked it, and put a pinch on it. When I saw the knife, I was so scared that I turned around. I was probably in shock because suddenly they say it was over. I did not know anything he says. To this day, he has a burn, but what he remembers even better was the pain that haunted him for 3 weeks after the fact. Then the bandage would be taken off. It was the worst nightmare in my life. It was dry and the bandage was stuck. It hurts and I thought I would die. When the bandage finally came off, blood and fluids came out. But I did not care. I was just happy and grateful it was off. That was told during an episode of the TV series På Tro og Are, on Faith with Are, made by Are Sende Olsen, which is a TV personality who met Cemal. Are is himself opposed to circumcision, but wants to learn more about the practice. The circumcision is a rather extreme way of marking belonging to his faith. I'll figure out if we're going to have something like that in my own religion, said Are, before emphasizing that circumcision is probably not something he's going to begin with in his new religion called Stientes Stövets Söskebarn. I guess the siblings or the sister of the stars of the star. It just makes no sense. The sister of the stars of the star. I think that's the best translation. Anyway, still, I'm interested in understanding more about this drastic intervention. Circumcision is an important practice in both Judaism and Islam. In Norway, the health authorities estimate that approximately 2,000 boys are circumcised each year, and most of them are Muslim. While circumcision is a commitment in Judaism described in the Bible, circumcision is not an imposition in Islam. The practice is not mentioned in the Quran, but it is mentioned in the Hadith literature, which are written narratives about what the Prophet Muhammad said and did. Islam researcher and Arab philologist Nora S. Eggen said that circumcision is a recommended practice in Islam, but not an order. Circumcision is a highly recommended practice derived from the Prophet Muhammad, showing back to the practice from Abraham. It has the same appearance as in Judaism, but it has a lower degree of normativity in Islam because it is not an absolute order, Eggen explains. Even Jamal felt cheated when he read the Quran and did not find a word about circumcision in it. I'm pretty sure most Muslims do not know why they practice this. They circumcise their boys because they themselves have been circumcised by their fathers, said Jamal. He believes circumcision of boys under 18 should have been banned, preferably a long time ago. We say we are so modern and open-minded in Norway. It is the current year. It's 2017. But even Norway allows abuse of children by Muslim and Jewish parents, he says. While Jamal believes circumcision of children is an abuse in and of itself, others believe it would be an assault to deny religious people to perform one of their most important rituals in their religion. After the Progress Party at the May meeting went for a ban on circumcision, the leader of the Mosaic community, Ervin Kohn, stated that the resolution violated religious freedom and that it would be a signal that Jews are unwanted in Norway. If you remember, we read about that when it happened. For Jewish boy children have been circumcised for thousands of years. The religious cause is God's covenant with Abraham in the first book of Moses, where God promised Abraham blessing and many descendants. The sign of the covenant was that all men in the family should be circumcised at the age of 8 days old. Ervin Kohn explains that circumcision is a religious commitment in Judaism, but it is also about more than that. There is much in the Bible. We have many commitments, and few follow all. Nevertheless, the closure of this obligation is almost 100%. That's something to wonder about, says Kohn, who thinks it's more than about religion. I mean, it has a lot of identity to do with it too. Identity of the Jewish people, he says. One who has a different relationship to circumcision than Jamal is Jewish Nikolai Khan. He was circumcised when he was 8 days old at the hospital in Trondheim, and for him, circumcision is about identity and belonging. I don't think I would have felt the same connection with the cultural part of Judaism if I had not been circumcised, he explains and elaborates. Nikolai does not count himself as religious and says he may be a little bit more humanistic in the mindset. Of course, I want to decide on my own body, but at the same time, I do not feel that this has been a bad choice taken for me, he explains. While some may have been circumcised for medical reasons, it is the circumcision for religious and cultural reasons that is now a controversial practice. This is because you make a permanent surgical procedure on children without their consent. It is this aspect that the TV personality Are Sende Ussen has had a hard time understanding and accepting. It is such an important decision that should be determined by the adults themselves. When you're 18, you can do what you want, but until then, I think it's a violation of fundamental rights to do this to young children who are not able to protest, says Arre. Nikolai does not think an 18-year-old limit is the solution. You can as well forbid it because that would be a ban in practice, he says. Nikolai is married to a non-Jewish woman, and Judaism follows the mother's line. Therefore, if he has children, they will not be born Jewish. Had they become, he is still uncertain whether he had chosen to circumcise his son. Circumcision, skipping a bit, circumcision is indeed a contentious topic, and the debate about the practice appears on a regular basis. Following the Progress Party's decision in May, the topic has been fiercely debated. Nikolai believes it is important that circumcision be debated. It is good that the big community dares to discuss key customs in a minority religion, he thinks. We'll be happy, I think. We cannot go around and expect people to applaud it either when we do something that is so drastic, because it is a strange custom. However, what he thinks is negative with the debate is that he finds that the opposition does not listen to those who are actually circumcised. I've never perceived it to be circumcised as an abuse or an offense. But then I hear that, yes, you are offended and your parents have done this to you. I think that is problematic. Okay, skipping a larger chunk where MDM is described and some doctors give their opinions, and then final paragraphs. Jamal is now no longer a Muslim and is now the leader of the ex-Muslims of Norway, a group consisting of atheists, freethinkers, humanists, agnostics, and former Muslims who take a stand for universal rights and secularism. He is now counting himself as an atheist, but still has bodily signs that he belongs to a religion with which he has no connection. I was born into a Muslim family. That was not my choice. As a child, I was scared of ending up in hell, and that was okay too. But they even took my foreskin. Today I'm not a Muslim. Can I get my foreskin back? Asks Jamal, who also asks where the boundaries should be. If a new sect or religion demands to cut the earlobe of its kids, should we accept it?
No.
Nope, nope. Yeah. Fantastic.
How about you cut off your own body parts, not your children's?
Yeah. I know it's an extremist position to take, but yeah. The significance in this is not necessarily the points being made in the article. I mean, we've all heard these arguments a gajillion times before. The significance of this article is cultural in itself. I mean, this is a huge, very big audience TV show about faith aired on NRK, by far the most the channel with the biggest reach in the Norwegian speaking circles. I mean, I despise them, but I still watch their programs if I want to learn things about what's been going on lately in Norway, and also how to follow their the way the cultural debate is working. So it is significant that such an open discussion is now aired there. 5 years ago, that the whole documentary would have been considered anti-Semitic and racist and shut down. I mean, it would have been shut down before it would have been recorded. So it's significant progress in that department for sure. It shows that it sometimes pays to vote in right-wing political parties because, again, Norway is weird. The Progress Party is the Thatcherite party. Yeah. So it does help. I mean, the fact that when the Progress Party decided that they will now be adopting as their own policy and will try to make it into law one way or the other, we discussed then that it's still significant, but because they send a different signal than all of the rest of the parties. And lo and behold, they won the elections again, and now the state television is airing some of their concerns. So it pays. Sometimes it pays to vote in different politicians who come in with these kinds of weird ideas, such as maybe children should not be mutilated. I know it's a weird idea, but let's consider it. Let's debate it at the very least. Um, so yeah, the cultural significance of this cannot be underestimated, and the fact that it's a former Muslim, but still, I mean, he looks Muslim, he has a Muslim sounding name. That creates a lot of cognitive dissonance amongst the progressives in Norway, because they can't call him a racist, because yeah, it doesn't work that way. So they'll just have to be forced to engage with his arguments, which is going to be quite a problem. It just wrong foots the pro circumcision lobby.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's all around excellent, and I mean, it covers both the Jewish angle and the Muslim angle, and I mean we've heard these arguments many times before, but just because a religious book says something doesn't mean that people in the 21st century actually do it.
Mhm.
There's lots of stuff in at least as far as Jews are concerned, that are in the Bible that Jews just ignore. They don't actually kill gays. They don't kill people who've cursed their parents. They don't stone their disobedient sons and so on.
Yeah, they don't stone people who wear mixed cloth and so on and so forth. I mean, even this dude recognizes, who is not even Jewish himself. I mean, he says he's an atheist, basically, or a humanist, whatever. He says, well, yeah, there are many covenants in the Bible, but and few follow them all. Well, the correct expression would have been nobody follows them all. So yeah, why not just go one regulation? Um, what extra regulation? Yeah, you have 600 regulations. You only follow about 155 of them. Yeah, how about you just follow 154 and not mutilate your kids? It's not really a big deal.
Yep.
Just saying. Uh, I mean, I'm sorry, but I always laugh when I'm called an anti-Semite for opposing circumcision. I mean, there are very few people who are more militant Zionists than I am, but nevertheless, you shouldn't be mutilating your kids. And uh, I would suggest I'm actually going to try to contact this dude, Jamal, whatever, because I'm going to suggest him to look up for the anti-circumcision groups in Israel and maybe team up with them. Those are ones that also have access to some funding, maybe organize some peer pressure. This can be done. This is a winnable battle. Sure, it's not going to be won in the next 2 years, but it's a winnable battle.
Yeah.
And it's going to have to be country by country and community by community, at least in Europe. There's no way we can hope to have a Europe-wide regulation on it. And even if we were to, everyone knows what happens to EU regulations. No one cares about them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's a winnable battle, and it's just one more cultural step forward. It's great.